Hello, thank you for joining us again on the CoreTV News Hour. Hi, I'm Frank Omalape, and here are some of the reports we're filing at this time. Professor Tahiru Jaga has formally bowed out as the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission after completing his tenure. Tahiru Jaga handed over the leadership of the commission to Mohammed Wali, a national commissioner of the electoral body from the Northwest. While his 5-year tenure lasted, Jaga conducted 2 general elections in 2011 and 2015, and elections were adjudged to be better than some of the previous ones. Last week, Jaga, a former vice-chancellor of the Bayero University, Kano, and a former president of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, said he would be returning to the classroom after leaving INEC. The tenure of the newly acting chairman will end on August 11, 2015, over as acting chairman of the commission. In what appears to be a last-minute rush for June 30 deadline of bank verification number, banks in Lagos are struggling to manage the mammoth crowd trudging the banking halls as customers jostle to obtain their verification number. Not many of them are pleased with the development, as they blame the low awareness created by the financial sector of the economy. Though the policy by the Apex Bank was launched February 2014, June 30th, 2015 has been fixed as the deadline. According to most of them, majority may be denied the opportunity of being registered. They urge Central Bank for an extension of the exercise for benefit of all. Away from there now, President Muhammad Buhari has ordered the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Central Bank, the Nigerian Customs, and other revenue-generating agencies to remit all their intakes into the Consolidated Revenue Fund in line with the constitutional provisions. This, he says, is to ensure adequate funds to all the tasks of government from the Federation account. The President gave this directive at the formal inauguration of the National Economic Council in Abuja. A correspondent, Payasami, has details.
Exactly 1 month after inauguration, President Buhari is set to get down to business. He has inaugurated his National Economic Council, comprising the 36 state governors and led by the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo. The President also used the opportunity to send a clear message to government agencies that it will no longer be business as usual.
Revenue-generating agencies, such as the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Nigerian Customs Services, Federal Inland Revenue Services, Nigerian Ports Authority, Central Bank of Nigeria, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, and Liquefied Natural Gas, among others, shall comply with stipulated financial regulations and administrative instructions in their remittances into the Consolidated Revenue Fund.
He also used the opportunity to give an insight into the outcome of the meeting with the G7 on the security challenge in the Northeast.
On insurgency, the Nigerian armed forces have shown renewed commitment and made steady progress in the fight against Boko Haram. Nigeria, under the auspices of the Lake Chad Basin Commission and the Republic of Benin, is collaborating with the Republic of Niger, Chad, Cameroon, and Benin to consolidate cross-border and international efforts at eradicating the insurgency.
After the inauguration, members of the Economic Council went into a closed-door meeting. They came out with a revelation that a 4-man committee has been set up to check the NNPC books to determine how much was not remitted to the Federation account.
The 4-man committee, one of them is here, or 2 of them, that the governor of Edo State, the governor of Akwa Ibom, the governor of Gombe State, and Malam Nasur El-Rufai. They are members of that committee who check the books of NNPC, more especially on the issue of excess crude and what is not reported to the Federation account.
8.1 trillion naira. What accrues, what NNPC paid to the Federation account between 2012 all through to 2015, end of May, was 4.3 trillion naira, and NNPC withheld and spent 3.5 trillion naira. Now, the major revelation here for me is that the entire federation, that is the federal government and all the state government and all the 774 local government, the amount NNPC paid to the federation account for distribution to these 3 tiers of government came to 4.3. And NNPC alone took and spent 3.5 trillion naira. Now, which means NNPC, the cost of running NNPC is even much more than the cost of running the federal government.
Aside from NNPC, a number of government agencies are not known to remit all of their revenues to the consolidation account. But with the cash crunch and the inability of many of the states to meet their obligation, the Economic Council is keen on paying more attention to remittances from revenue-generating federal government agencies. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Okay. Give way, please.
Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has promised that his administration will give the highest possible priority to the rapid improvement of power supply across the country. According to his statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, the president spoke while granting audience to officials of CGGC, the Chinese construction company working on the Mambila Power project. Adesina quoted the president as saying that it was regrettable that power generation in Nigeria had failed to keep pace with national needs over the years. To salvage the situation, the president said his administration would ensure that the Mambila project and other unfinished hydropower projects in the country are completed as fast as possible to boost power supply in the country. The managing director of CGGC, Zhang Qian, who led his company's delegation, told the president that work on the Mambila project was being delayed by the failure of previous administrations to provide counterpart funding specified in the agreement with the Chinese government. The CGGC delegation was accompanied to the presidential villa by Governor Abdulaziz Yari of Zamfara State. And now the President Muhammadu Buhari has restored the accreditation of Duchess Well State House correspondent Ubale Musa, which was withdrawn in the last days of the Jonathan administration. Presidential spokesman Femi Adesina presented the reissued praise pass to the correspondent and the presidential villa on the orders of the president, displaying that the reporter's reaccreditation as a State House correspondent was in line to keep with the president's commitment to correcting the wronged work of the past. Civil rights activists have hailed the federal government's decision to dissolve the board of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. They also urged President Muhammadu Buhari to appoint a minister for petroleum resources as soon as possible, as well as name ministers as members of the NNPC board. The Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center said at a news conference in Abuja that the decision to dissolve the NNPC board was long overdue. The group claimed that the dissolved board, monumental frauds including fuel subsidy scam, non-remittance of monies due to the Federation account and controversial crude oil swap contracts, also allege NNPC and its subsidiary DPR were the major breakthroughs in the implementation of the native process in Nigeria, especially on matters of remediation and implementation of independent auditors. He consequently wants President Buhari to restructure and overhaul the NNPC, as well as the entire extractive resources and revenue managing architecture of the nation. And now the civil rights group Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center wants the Buhari administration to immediately implement the cost-cutting measures proposed by a committee headed by former head of service Steve Oronsaye. They, according to the group, is as a result of the need to reduce the cost of governance. Speaking at the policy dialogue section in Abuja, the executive director of the group, Awa Musa, argued that no nation can develop.
We think that it is high time that Nigerian government reduce the cost of running, government, because we notice that some of the costs associated with running of government are either waste or duplication, or sometimes outrightly being stolen, by some, people who don't have the interests of this country. So instead of continuing to waste and duplicate and also steal these resources, it could be channeled to other economic sectors so that we could actually help to create jobs and diversify the economy.
The problem is that we need to look at the cost of governance in the context of making government and governance more effective. So we should be looking at effectiveness. We should be looking at efficiency when we are talking about the cost of governance, and then we should be. What do you really mean by the cost of governance? Is the cost of running the government and delivering services that the government needs to deliver.
May 29, when the government of President Muhammadu Buhari was inaugurated, Nigerians expected that the government will hit the ground running. But a month after, diverse opinions have continued to greet the approach of the president towards governance, while some opine that the government is too slow in grappling with the reality of governance. Some others say President Buhari is no doubt taking his time. Correspondent Rashid in this interview with a public analyst and a 7th senator reports what they feel about the government of Buhari 1 month after.
On the 29th of May, Nigeria and Nigerians welcome a new dawn in the annals of Nigeria's history. It is indeed the first time the opposition party defeated the incumbent. The man Muhammadu Buhari also became president at the 4th time of asking. All this led many Nigerians to have high expectations of the new government. But 1 month after the historic inauguration, Nigerians bore their minds on the pace of governance. A public affairs analyst says the Buhari government is expected to hit the ground running, but for Fatima Rasaki, a PDP senator, President Buhari and the APC are still battling with the reality of being the government in power.
People are worried. I'm equally worried too, because from his campaign promises, he indicated he's going to hit the ground running.
They've forgotten that they are now at the center. They are now the majority party, but they are still behaving as an opposition party. It hasn't gotten to their head yet.
Making reference to the crisis rocking the National Assembly, Ogumala opines that this will cause further delay for President Buhari in addressing salient national issues. Rasaki, however, disagrees, saying the president is not even set to present his ministerial list.
Look at the list sent from the party for the principal members of the House, the way they threw it out. So they can tear anything from ministerial into shreds too.
If you find out deep down, he is not 100% ready with his list also. Because if he's ready, he will have written to the House. But there's no letter to that effect.
And taking a general assessment, Ogumala submits that the Buhari administration has done nothing really special in the eyes of ordinary Nigerians in the past 1 month.
We have been queuing for petrol before he came. We are still queuing. You know? So, and there's nothing really that the average Nigerian can say has happened. You know, we're only hopeful. That's the Nigerian, the average, the common man only has a hope.
As Nigerians continue to hope that the government effects change in days to come, it is, however, a known fact that out of the 4-year tenure of President Muhammadu Buhari, a month is actually gone. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado-Ekiti.
Now, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, has challenged the former interim chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Bisi Akande, to name the oil barons he claims sponsored his election on June 9. The former Osun State governor had alleged that oil subsidy thieves and others who were out to subvert the course of justice bankrolled the election of Bukola Saraki and Dogara. But speaking through his spokesman, Turaki Hassan, Speaker Dogara said he expected Akande, as an elder statesman, to play a fatherly role at a period of dispute rather than attacking his person. He maintained that the allegations existed only in Akonde's imagination, adding that he won his election based on the support of his colleagues, his competence and capacity to preside over the House as the Speaker. The Speaker also recalls that the first investigative motion passed by the House after his election was to prove the alleged crude oil swap contracts awarded by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. He wondered how he would have backed the probe of the same oil sector stakeholders if indeed they sponsored his election. You're watching the CoreTV News Hour. I will take a break now. We'll be back shortly with more stories. Do join us again.
This is what the people are saying.
You don't run a big economy with generator. They need to do more in terms of energy and power.
Many things to do for this Nigeria about lights, water, and new TT.
For Nigerians that are not gullible, we know that good laws have done nothing good for this country.
Buhari won the election convincingly.
Talk to our husband that you should keep promise about what you said, and because people are watching you, you know, another election is coming.
Also, some people will strong for Yoruba land, will be strong man, you don't die.
This nation is moving forward. The best is going to take place.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
CoreTV News Hour live from our Lagos studio. For more information on our news and other programs, you like our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also follow at CoreTV News NG. For live streaming, log on to youtube.com/CoreTV and leave a space news. The senators charged with the responsibility of coming up with a draft legislative agenda for the 8th Senate are due to turn in their report in the next 1 week. Senate leader Alin Dume disclosed this to journalists after the second meeting of the ad hoc committee at the National Assembly complex. The 18-member committee was inaugurated last week by Senate President Bukola Saraki.
Last week by the Senate President to draw up a legislative agenda for the 8th Senate. This is the second meeting. We had an inaugural meeting on the same day that we were inaugurated. And as you are aware, we have just 1 week to complete this assignment, and that is why we decided to hit the ground running immediately in order to achieve this work within the stated time frame. The details of the legislative agenda will come up when we finish the job. What we try to do in this meeting is to bring out ideas that will form the core part of the legislative agenda, which we intend to present to Nigerians, so that for the first time, I think this is the first time that the Senate, up initio, will tell Nigerians or will make public what the 8th Senate intends to do for the Nigerians that are expecting this change, and especially with the new government and the situation in which this country finds itself. That is the crux of the matter actually. We are trying to present to Nigerians in a new way what they should expect from its 8th Senate, and that will help us to determine the level, the speed, the commitment of the Senate in discharging the collective agenda that we have for the country. So far, we will be briefing you as the time goes, but maybe at the end of it, we will have a report which will avail to you, to the general public.
Former Minister of Education Rukayatu Rufai has tasked President Muhammadu Buhari on improving what she described as the good legacies of the previous administration in the education sector. Rufai will give the charge on the sidelines of an event in Abuja says no nation can compete at the global stage without providing accessible and quality education to its citizens. She noted that efforts must be channeled towards addressing challenges bedeviling the sector. And Inspector General of Police Solomon Arase has warned the rank and file to be proactive in dealing with issues in their domains rather than being reactive. This is playing will go a long way in ensuring that police personnel are more relevant in their areas of operations. The Inspector General said this at a two-day workshop in Abuja for police public relations officers across the country.
There is a social content to policing, and I will expect that as public relations officer, maybe once a month, you should be able to reach out to the journalists in your location, invite them to the mess, discuss with them, tell them what your state or your zone is doing. It will not cost too much. I'm sure the commissioners of police should be able to handle that. And that social content of policing must be re-established in Nigerian police force. It is not necessary to start writing rejoinders all the time. Once you are proactive, once you know what you are supposed to do, once you are able to articulate the views of the force management and your command, all those issues of constant, trying to explain, your action or inaction may not be necessary. So you must be able to connect with the community. There is no police force in the world that can perform or carry out its mandate without connecting with the community.
You're watching the CoreTV News on the hour. We'll take another break now. Be back shortly with more stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Outside Nigeria, Egypt's public prosecutor Hisham Barakat has been killed in a bomb attack on his car in Cairo, officials say. And Mr. Barakat died of his wounds in hospital after the bombing in the suburb of Heliopolis. He had died after undergoing critical surgery. A medical official at the hospital said Barakat had received multiple shrapnel wounds to the shoulder, chest, and liver. Barakat was the most senior figure to have been targeted for assassination since a 2013 attempt on the life of the then Interior Minister. He had referred thousands of Islamists to trial since the overthrow of President Mohamed Morsi in 2013. Hundreds of Islamists have been sentenced to death or life imprisonment as part of a crackdown on supporters of the banned Muslim Brotherhood. And in sport now, the Napoli-owned striker Eduardo Vargas back to on the night, but the opening scoring and netting a superb winning goal as his striker sent Chile into their first Copa America final since 1987 after a controversial red card to Peru's Carlos Zambrano gave the tournament host a big advantage. Referee Jose Aguti expelled Zambrano in the first half, leaving Peru to play 70 minutes with 10 players. And despite a brave performance from Ricardo Garcia's men, while Chile eventually prevailed 2-1 in Santiago, thanks to a brace from Vargas. It could have been a very different match at the Estadio Nacional had Aguti chosen to send off Vidal early, with the Juventus midfielder tangling with Zambrano as the latter looked to shepherd the ball out in the 4th minute, and just 2 minutes later Zambrano received a yellow card for a foul on Alexis Sanchez before Peru's Jefferson struck the post with a header, and in the 20th minute Aguti left an indelible mark on the match. Well, and that's a wrap on CoreTV News at this time. Many thanks for watching. I am Frank Omalape. I'll see you again.